Hello, everyone. Scott Hache here for the Network Marketing Mentors Show. And today we have a special guest with us on the show, Cisco Holland. And Cisco, he's been around in the industry, and not only necessarily the network marketing industry, but he's been around in traditional business for quite a few years. And he's done quite a few different businesses, everything from retail to he's done some really amazing stuff. He's here today to show us how you can actually utilize strategies from a conventional business into your direct sales and network marketing business. So welcome to the show, Cisco.
Thanks, Scott. I've watched a few episodes. I'm honored to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, great to have you here today. So, Cisco, tell us a little bit about your background and exactly what different type of businesses you have been in the past.
Well, I kind of followed a little bit of a traditional path. I started off, starting to work with the federal government and working on some paperless initiatives, which were in some of the early days of as far as companies going paperless. They had some great stuff on the side of contracts. I had worked as a consultant for a while. I moved my way into retail, where I worked for a large retailer. And one of the major projects with the large retailer was a supply chain development. In fact, it was a couple $1 billion a year company that was working through Excel spreadsheets, believe it or not, on their entire supply chain. So that was a great project. And on from there, I started to move my way into the small business world. I had some owned a gym at one point. I learned what it meant to personally sign to a lease, and learned a lot of those hard lessons. So what I think I bring to the table, especially in today's capacity, is kind of a wide range of solution-based options, primarily systematic, but ultimately learning a lot of the ins and outs about some of the traditional business woes and small business woes that exist out there. So that's kind of it's quite a mix. It definitely, every time I've made a career jump, people have said, how do you go from that to that? But it's taught me a lot about a bunch of different types of businesses. So I think that's kind of a valuable asset that I bring to the table.
Absolutely. Now, you've actually done something that's really unique that I found. You actually generate a lot of interest in your personal home business by going to these different groups, like the BNI groups, for example, and the chamber groups. Tell us a little bit more about how you actually take the conventional approach to business people and actually bring it to your network marketing business.
Well, one thing that I've found through every different industry is that the most important thing is relationships. Ultimately, when you go into a networking group, and I am a member of BNI, I do help open BNI chapters, but I also have started my own casual networking groups. I have a member of a couple of chambers, and it's the same theme across the board. It's about the person. Simon Sinek has a great book, Start With My Why, and it's really one of those things that identifies the core behind why people do business with different people. And ultimately, one thing that I think is important for people to understand, when you have a home-based business and when you are in the direct sales industry, it's important to find your niche and make yourself accepted by the traditional business people. When I was running my own company, I definitely had a stigmatism about the industry, and it was I had my own personal, whether they were valid or invalid, I had my own personal opinions about it. And oddly enough, to end up in that business, I found myself being more empathetic with people about not understanding the industry. So what I did with traditional networking was really just to spend more time trying to learn about other people's business and how I can help them. And that's created that trust and that relationship for them to really open their minds and to take a look at my business model. I use a lot of traditional business language. I'm a home-based business, but I have an office because that was the environment that I came from, and that's the environment I was comfortable with. And I'm not saying that's the solution to everything, but you have to be able to transition yourself from where you are comfortable to making this business environment comfortable for you. And I think ultimately that's what portrays onto people. I think that's what portrays onto people in the end and makes them comfortable with you and builds that trust with you.
Absolutely. Now, if you were to go into, for example, one of these groups and you were to approach somebody there, what would be a typically good approach for somebody that's in network marketing so that you don't kind of turn the people off right out of the gate?
Well, I think the most important thing is not to start with an opportunity perspective. Determine where your business logic can apply to everyone else. So if if the product or the service that you're offering is relevant to a traditional business in some way, shape, or form, then first start asking the questions. I mean, ultimately, you need to determine the need. And leading, I think, with the business opportunity can often put you into that bucket of preconceived notions of what it is. So I found myself, in my specific business, we have a lot of products. So what I usually find out is, what are people's health concerns? Where is it that, what might be going on with your family or with your members or your contacts, or what was something you just heard in the news recently? This morning I saw a great news segment on sugar. I mean, sugar is an issue for a lot of different people. So what I will do is I will take that as a discussion point whenever developing a new relationship with someone. I might talk about, various different health concerns, working them into a conversation, but making sure that I'm listening more than I'm talking. And I think that's an important element to developing that trust. Because ultimately, people will always tell you what their problems are. And if you can get to their problems and have a solution for that, that's really where you springboard your discussions.
Absolutely. So it's all about pulling that information out of them. And I do agree with you that if you start going in there and you lead with the fact that hey, you're a business, and you know what, I have a home business. Join me. The problem with that is everybody's been approached by a million other people, and they've done the exact same thing. They're going to put that wall right up in front of them and say, oh, well, it's another one of those pyramid things, and they're just going to write you off as yesterday's news. Anything that you say from here on out, it just has been completely discredited. So what you want to do is obviously build that relationship with them, talk about their concerns. So if you have a health and wellness product, or if you have an energy product, or whatever it is, the product that you sell, obviously don't lead with that right out of the gate, but find out what their concerns are and find a way to bring that up in conversation so you can somehow tie them together. I think that's great advice that you have there.
I know with especially with networking groups, you have to understand that everybody there is either a business owner or is selling something. So what you can do if you are looking to begin business approaches is to identify the problems within their business. You will speak with a contractor and he will tell you about employee problems. You will speak with a restaurant owner and they will tell you about scheduling issues. You will speak with maybe somebody on the insurance side of business, and they'll talk to you about collections. Ultimately, every business has issues, and that might be a great segue into some of the solutions that you may have behind your opportunity. But again, it's all just about finding the need, developing the relationship, and asking questions.
I definitely like that as well, because the neat thing about going into these business networking groups is these people have a business mindset to begin with, or they wouldn't be there to begin with, right? So
Right.
they wouldn't be there at your meeting if they weren't interested in business. And of course, like you said, a lot of the businesses do have those pain points that they do have and they struggle with on a daily basis. Now, opening their mind to a new business concept, which may not necessarily be new to them, but if you open up their mind up to seeing something that's completely different than what they're doing, a lot of times these business owners would say, you know what, it sounds a lot better to be able to stay at home and to be able to enjoy my life and my family rather than being at the restaurant for 12 hours a day. Just giving them that sense of there's something more, I think could also help them out quite a bit as well. So I think that's a great idea to find those pain points that you have with the different people that are in your networking groups.
Yep, and you won't be able to get those pain points unless you actually are listening to them and caring about what they're saying. So that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Being a good listener is very key to that. It makes complete sense to me because, if they don't hear, people want to talk about themselves, right? That's what it comes down to. They don't want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
They want to talk about themselves all day long, right? And if you just sit back and listen and listen and listen, you know what? They'll tell you exactly what you need to tell them to get them interested in your business. You just have to be able to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, because in those, especially in those environments, you are a potential client for them. And that's also another way that I will talk to people about business is just by doing business with them. It's an important concept. I think it's a reciprocating world. So if you're going to expect someone to listen to you, you need to listen to them.
Now, once you've actually talked to them a little bit, like let's say that you have introduced them to the fact that, hey, you do have a home business and it is in direct sales and network marketing. What would be the next steps that you would take a typical business person and move them forward and start engaging them? Do you bring them to a presentation, or what exactly is it that you do?
Well, in our model, it is a presentation. So ultimately, you're just setting an appointment for the presentation. But the key thing to me is making sure that if you do have a presentation business model, make sure that you don't ruin your opportunities in the beginning while setting the appointment. Oftentimes, I believe people try to explain in order to convince, just setting the appointment. And what you've really done is you've provided information for preconceived notions to be developed. I think the biggest goal for me when setting appointments, and one of the things that I train on, is just to break down the logic behind the business model. Whether it's a product, whether it's a service, or whether it's the opportunity that you're talking about. Agree to the logic and then set the appointment, using some of those rock star leaders out there, Eric Worre's "If I Do, Would You?" Those types of things are going to help you with having a higher success rate when it comes to setting the appointment for that presentation.
Excellent. Sounds great. Now, I know you've worked in so many different industries and, of course, in the sales industry and network marketing for quite a while. What is the single best piece of advice you've been given over these years that could help our viewers here today?
I would think the most important thing out there is resilience. Continue to personally develop and to really tie yourself to whatever it is. Lots of people talk about your why. Tie yourself to the dream. Tie yourself to what's really achievable and is all within your own power. But remind yourself that it's going to require resilience and consistency.
Awesome. Great information here today, Cisco. Thank you so much. For everybody watching here, you can see all the details about this show in our show notes at www.networkmarketingmentors.com/episode number 9. Also, make sure that you join us on YouTube. You can join us there and subscribe to our channel, as well as we also have an iTunes channel as well, so you can carry us on the go, both in video and in MP3 format. So thank you so much, Cisco, for joining us on the call here today, and we hope to see you here on the show again sometime.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it.